All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm Peter Martin, the web doc, and a lot of you know me from Cactus Sky. I've been in the business for over 30 years, and today we're going to be talking about a very popular topic, and I've known Chris for a long time, and one of the things that I want to brag about Chris for just a second is, as you know, I've spoken at 18 NADAs in my career. Chris, and when you speak at NADA, as you know, that's a big thing. NADA has become very, very, very selective, and Chris was selected to speak at the upcoming NADA convention in February of next year, which speaks volumes to his expertise on this topic, but it also goes to show that this is a very important topic, and a lot of people are paying attention to it. So with that being said, hang on tight. This is going to be a great session. You're going to learn a lot. Chris is somebody you can trust. I've worked with him for years. And let's just jump into it. Chris will start telling everybody about why this is important and how trust marketing can really help them take their dealership or business to the next level.
Sure. Thank you for that introduction. And truly, I believe, look, it's hard to get on the stage at NADA, but I believe that my topic helped. And because, this is what we're going to really talk about today on how, reviews, trust in reviews is lessening. And there is a next level trust marketing concept emerging. So we'll talk about that in depth. So let me get this slide going. So let's talk about trust marketing. What is it? So listen, I believe every company has a story to tell, and I believe that story is best told by the customers that have experienced the value of the services that company provides. And when you get customers talking about your company and deploying your marketing channels, you create a dynamic that we call trust marketing. And let me put it this way. What do you think consumers trust more? What a dealer is saying in their marketing? Every dealer goes up on the rooftop and shouts, "We're the best, come buy from us." Or do you think that the consumers trust what the current customers are saying? And of course, the answer is obvious. They trust the voice of the current customers. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. The voices that are spoken about in reviews and on social media. And today we'll also discuss how to harness that powerful dynamic and put it to work in your marketing to attract more shoppers to the showroom. Ultimately, it boils down to communicating trust in your marketing. And today we'll also reveal a simple strategy that is the #1 way to get people to hand their money over to you. So more on that in a moment.
So Chris, we've all been in business for a long time, seen many evolutions of dealer marketing. How have dealers historically communicated trust in their marketing?
So for many years now, dealers have been communicating trust online with reviews. Google being at the forefront of that. 9 to 10 years ago, dealers were really struggling to produce reviews on their own. They were only getting them when people were upset. Here's an example of a store in Las Vegas. When they contacted us, they were only a 2.7 on Google, but they only had 39 Google reviews. So we deployed a strategy that first and foremost focused on delivering better customer experiences, and then also asking every single customer that came to the store for a review. The results were phenomenal. This dealer had been dead last in the market in terms of sales because of their low rating. And 3 months after we deployed this strategy, they outsold the #1 Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store in Las Vegas. So today, here's where we have a challenge. Most franchise car dealers have thousands of reviews online. 3,500 is not uncommon in a major market for a franchise dealer. I was looking at one the other day that had a Honda store that had 9,000 reviews. So there's most dealerships have thousands of online reviews now.
Well, what's the problem with that? Why? I don't understand. It sounds like that would be a positive thing if you've got a lot of reviews.
You would think, right? But the latest research in Bright Local revealed that only 42% of people now trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations from friends and family. And this is down from 79% in 2020. Even in 2017, it was 91%. So every year we're seeing a decline in trust in online reviews. And there's a few reasons for that. Most dealers have figured out a way to generate reviews from their customers. after they visit. They've all got some type of software that's spitting out review requests. But the other thing is, there's fake reviews out there that, companies will actually sell you reviews. We, of course, do not advocate or promote that. We think it's probably one of the worst things you can do. And it's very dangerous because if Google catches you buying fake reviews, they will not only remove those reviews and maybe some other ones on your listing, but they could blacklist your Google listing. So it's very, very dangerous and not a very good idea to purchase reviews.
Okay. So online reviews are becoming less trusted in today's buyer's journey. That's what you're saying in a nutshell.
Yeah, and that's why we believe the next evolution is trust marketing.
And
We
you
call
mentioned to me the strategy is backed by some PhD and some research. You're not just kind of saying this, but you've got some high level people to back up what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that in just a second. We believe that real people telling real stories builds trust faster than billboards, TV ads, radio spots, even traditional reviews. And the PhD study that you're referring to is related to the number one way to get people to say yes. I spoke about this a moment ago. This simple strategy is game changing. And it's real people telling real stories with real excitement. There's a gentleman named Roy Vaden. He is one of the top branding experts in the world. He's also a New York best-selling author, speaker, but he did a PhD-backed research study and found that the number one reason people will buy from you is testimonials, more than a fancy website, more than a huge social media following. Even if you're a best-selling author, the number one reason people buy is seeing testimonials from people that have done business with you. People want to hear that you're awesome from other people.
Well, I think you hit the nail right in the head. I mean, all you got to do is look at any infomercial out there. What does every infomercial have? Testimonials, people talking about how great the product is and why you should buy it.
Yep. And so when we talk about next level marketing, it's about capturing memorable moments at the time of sale and bottling them up and using them in your marketing.
Well, here's a simple question. Why don't more dealers do it?
That's a great question, Peter. The reason they don't, quite honestly, is they can be quite challenging to get unless you have the proper strategy.
Well, my question is then, do you have a strategy that you can share with the people on this call to kind of help them grow?
We've created something called the DCMA Trust Marketing Strategy, and we call it DCMA because it begins with delight. We say if you don't do this right, forget about the rest. No, you're not going to get a testimonial. The second step is capturing and capturing that moment in time with a testimonial of either a video or a photo. And you have to mind for some emotion here. You want to make sure that you do it the correct way. The next step is marketing. So and you deploy that marketing asset across all your channels, in which will attract more people to your business and really turn your customers into a sales force.
That's great. So let's kind of go through it. So what exactly is involved in step number one, the delight stage?
Yeah. So I believe that delight begins with the secret to every great company that crushes it with exceptional customer experience.
Okay, I'm all ears. Go on.
Well, I think exceptional customer experience begins with excellent employee culture. You cannot have one without the other. And I like to point to Richard Branson, who knows a little bit about customer experience with over 40 highly successful companies. Richard Branson says, clients do not come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your clients. So the point here is to love on your employees and create raving fans from your employees, and they'll return the favor by loving on your customers and creating raving fans from them.
And I'm gonna just reiterate what you just said, because I believe in that completely. And I think that's one of the mistakes we do make in our business, unfortunately. But we've got to love on our customers, but most importantly, we've got to love on our staff, and that works great. So can you give us a good example of this?
Sure. One example is, I always like to say, is there a difference between these two fast food restaurants? They're both fast food, right? However, you walk into one and there's a positive vibe in the air. Employees are smiling. They greet you as you walk in. There's a sense of urgency. And when you say thank you to a team member, what do they say back to you at Chick-fil-A?
My pleasure.
My pleasure. So, and now contrast that with walking into a McDonald's. The energy's typical low. They're not always smiling. Now, and recently they even put in these big digital boards where you have to take your own order, which I think they're really trying to remove the human element altogether from the experience. And let's not even talk about speed because typically it's a very slow process. It takes forever to get your fast food. So the point is, at the focus at most fast food restaurants is not on the guest experience. And the last thing I'll say is there's a massive difference between the cost of these two. One discounts their food on a regular basis, and one never does because they don't have to.
Yeah. Well, while you're talking about that, is there something you can give the audience so they can evaluate their own customer experience, something that you might be able to share with them?
Sure. This is a QR code that you can scan, and it gives you a downloadable PDF where you can rate your team's current execution of CX. It'll evaluate, is it memorable? Is it different? Is it different than other stores? What makes it different? We always say, what makes you unique? And don't expect people to really give you a testimonial for doing the expected.
Okay. So you're saying just scan this QR code and we'll put this back up later just so they have it.
Yep.
But so and that will give them some great information that they can use to kind of evaluate themselves. So let's talk about what's possible when they truly delight the customer.
Yeah, I always like to point to Ali Rida. He's currently the #1 car salesman in the world with having sold 1,582 cars in 1 year.
Wow.
He currently averages over 100 cars per month. His secret is, I interviewed him last year, and his secret is delighting customers with a memorable experience. And what he does that most do not do, Peter, is first and foremost, he contacts customers on a regular basis. He
Okay.
sends them thank you cards. Who does that anymore? Who sits down and writes a thank you card anymore? It's pretty rare. So when you get one, you open it up and people are impressed by it. He also remembers families. He follows up months later. When I say remembers families, he remembers your birthday as well. He'll contact people on their birthday either with a call or a text message. But he really treats his customers like family. And I think that is really what stands out the most. I asked him the question. I said, Ali, do you ask for referrals? And he said, Chris, I don't have to, because when you create an experience that's memorable and really delivers excellence in your car buying experience, he said the customers will send you everyone they know, and that's why he has people lined up. He doesn't work weekends. You have to have an appointment to see him, and he's thriving. So.
And it's funny you mentioned that because this is a little thank you card I got from a car repair shop I took my car to, and I was blown away by it. I have it sitting on my desk because I'm actually going to write a little article about that for Auto Success Magazine, because it just blew me away. This is a little mom and pop auto repair shop. I brought my old truck in there to have them work on it, and they sent me a thank you card handwritten, and it makes a big difference. So we're talking about, you've done a great job of delighting the customer. What's the next step?
So capture, you want to make sure you are capturing a testimonial, and just put in the chat, if you will, what do you think is the #1 way to get a testimonial from a customer? Let's see what the chat says.
Here's the chat thing. Okay.
Yep. Let's see. Somebody put ask. Pretty simple, right? All you have to do is ask. However, there is a certain way in which you need to ask, okay? How you ask is important. The wrong way is, can you give us a testimonial? Most people are going to say, if you ask them that cold, are going to go, nah, I'm good. So what we recommend is have a conversation with them first about the experience. If I just sold you a car, Peter, I would say, Peter, thank you first and foremost for trusting me with your automotive shopping needs. Thank you for trusting the store. Can I ask you a few questions about the experience? You're going to say, sure. yeah, and you know, we're probably waiting on finance at this point. It's a good time to have the conversation. So the first question I would ask is, how long were you in the market shopping for a car? This is what I want to find out first. And how many stores did you consider in your car shopping process? And then what ultimately led you to choose our store? What I'm looking for is to uncover the why here, you know, and hopefully uncover something specific about what I did in the interaction. You know, we always recommend to salespeople, send a video as soon as you get a lead and or you talk to a customer or they've contacted you by you know, text message at the store, send them a video of yourself and maybe pointing at the car that they just inquired about. That improves your show rate by 35%. It also makes you stand out
Wow.
against everyone else. But you know, again, what I'm looking for here in this interview process is just something that is unique and different. You know, what did you like best about the experience? And would you say that we offer a trustworthy experience? I ask this because if they agree to do a video testimonial, this is a little NLP programming, neuro-linguistic programming. They're very likely to repeat trustworthiness if they do a video. So then I would say, you know what? I love your story, Peter. Would you mind sharing that with the testimonial? Now, notice I didn't say video. I don't want to introduce video yet. I want to judge the reaction that you have to that question. And you might say, whoa, what kind of testimonial? And then I've got to decide how to proceed from there. But if you say, sure, I'll do a testimonial, then I can introduce the different types. You know, we can do this any way you want, Peter. You know, we can do a video, we can do a photo, a written, whichever makes you feel comfortable. We definitely don't want to push someone to do video that's not comfortable in front of the camera. You also don't want to stick the camera in their face. One of the mistakes people make is going, hey, Peter, can you do me a video testimonial? Just open up with your name, the name of the store, what you purchased, what you like best about the experience, and mention my name at some point. And they stick the camera in your face. That is going to scare the heck out of most people, right?
That's right.
It's just not a good idea. Younger people will perform well. We call that a performance testimonial. But most people are not going to be comfortable performing in front of the camera. It's too much to remember. Even if they do, they're not smiling. They look nervous. We recommend the interview style, either behind the camera or on the camera. And we'll show you an example in just a moment.
Great. So let's just, for a second, because it was a lot of information you just threw at us. Let's just review the process real quick and just kind of go through just so everyone's get the process down, okay?
Okay. So first and foremost, have a conversation, warm them up first, okay? Rather than asking them cold for a testimonial. We want to warm them up with that interview. And then transition to, hey, would you mind doing a testimonial? Again, we always start by asking for a video first. If they don't feel comfortable on video, no problem. Can you give me a quote on what you like best about the experience? And I take a photo of you by your car. Most people will do that. And guess what? If you share it with them, then they can post it on social media. We created a mobile app recently that does all this for you. It was a technology that we've created over, you know, many years. We first started with iPads in the store. They had, you know, corded microphones. We had to upload the video on the iPad to a SharePoint link and then get it to us. We recently created a mobile app that makes it all super simple and consolidated. Start with video, back down to a photo, and then if they won't do a photo because they're having a bad hair day, then you can try to get a written review. The point is, try to get a testimonial to use in your marketing to communicate the trustworthy buying experience that you offer. The next step is certainly thank them and then share it with them. Share that testimonial with them because you ultimately want them to share it on social media. When they share it on social media, who do they see? They see you in the store, right? So
Yeah.
that's the key. Putting your customers to work in your marketing. That's the name of the game.
Right.
I do have an example here. We're going to see if it plays for us. This is an example of a salesperson. We trained this salesperson on this particular day, and this was his very first one. He was a little nervous, but I think he knocked it out of the park. And I just told him, hey, focus on 3 questions and 3 questions only. And here it is.
Hey guys, my name is Sean here with Carriage Kia of Alpharetta. I'm here with Miss Erica. She just purchased a brand new Sportage. It's beautiful. Erica, how would you say your experience was with us?
This experience has been incredible. Everyone was super helpful and patient, and this was an amazing car buying experience. I'm very excited to drive my Sportage home.
Awesome, awesome. What was your favorite part about the process?
I think my favorite part was the communication. Everything was very clear, and I was able to have a better understanding of everything. And so I would definitely say the communication.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Would you refer us to family and friends?
Absolutely, yes. I would definitely refer Kia to anyone.
We greatly appreciate that. Again, just want to thank you for your business and safe travels, and congratulations on your brand new
Thank
vehicle.
you. I'm excited.
You're welcome.
So
That's great. That's a great testimonial. I got to give you credit. That's awesome. So now that we have the testimonial, what do we do with it?
Let me, before I go there, let me just say two things about the testimonial. There's two pieces of equipment, or there's two concepts that you need to consider. There's lighting, and then there's sound, and those are the things that you really have to address. The sound is the most important. What you could barely hear was some music in the background. Right above them was a speaker blaring music. We couldn't figure out how to turn it off in the delivery room, but they have noise cancellation microphones on. That noise cancellation microphone is key to getting a good testimonial. I can't tell you how many testimonials we see by the salesperson standing 15 feet away, shooting with their iPhone or their Android with no microphone. You can barely hear the customer. So sound is super important. You want to make sure you have good lighting. If you're inside the showroom, that's good lighting, or if you're outside. We recommend ring lights that you can shine on people. But the sound is probably the most important. Now you were asking what to do with the testimonial?
What to do with it? Yeah, what do you do with the next?
Yeah, the next step in the process is to market it out, right? Now, if you've created a testimonial, you want to use that testimonial as a marketing asset. So we recommend deploying them everywhere. First and foremost, you want to share it with the customer, because you like putting it on the dealership's social media feed or the salesperson's social feed is good. But what's great is if you can get the customer to share it. When you get the customer to share it and they drop it on their social media, you're now getting in front of their network of friends and family. That's where referrals come from. So that's the first and foremost. The second place is the dealership website. When visitors are coming to the website, they're looking for trust and validation. The more trust and validation that you can communicate on your website, the more conversions you're going to have, the more people walking into the door. So we recommend having a carousel across the front homepage of video testimonials, a whole page dedicated to testimonials, and maybe even a whole page dedicated to reviews. So again, we call those trust triggers. The more trust triggers you can have on your website, the more conversions you're going to have, bottom line. Social media feeds, it goes without saying, you want to put these out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and then boost them. If you don't boost them, we see dealers put video testimonials, great video testimonials. If you don't put some money behind it, you don't get visibility. Mark Zuckerberg did not get to be the 5th richest person on the planet by showing your content off for free. So you got to pay to play on those social media. But the reach and engagement that we see on testimonials is phenomenal when you put a little money behind it. And then we have some advanced practices. If you want to take my email down, we can email those to you, c.snellgrove@reputationsensei.com. We'll also put this up at the end, but take that down and we can send over some of our best practices, because there's other places that you should also share those testimonials.
Okay. So Chris, let's kind of bring it home. We've been doing a very good job on time. What is the last step in this entire process?
So the last step is, what happens. It's really more of a result versus a part of the process, but it's what happens when you deploy this strategy.
So let's talk about the long-term payoff. So we're going to attract them. We got the testimonial. Let's talk about specifically what's going to be the benefit long-term, not just tomorrow, but the long-term.
So, we recommend, here's what happens when you start generating 15 to 20 testimonials monthly. After a year, you're going to have 200 plus customer testimonials promoting your business. Ultimately, you should be able to reduce your ad spend, because now your customers are promoting your business. So the dealership should be able to reduce having to get up on that rooftop and yell, "Hey, we're the best," because now their customers are up on the rooftop yelling, "Hey, these guys are the best," which, by the way, is more trusted by consumers. Increased retention. You're going to have more repeat business when your team is focused on getting testimonials. What else are they focused on? your customer experience, right? And when you're focused on the customer experience, you see more retention, you see more referrals, and ultimately you're going to see higher CSI scores. So it's really a win-win-win for the store. There is no downside to focusing on a testimonial strategy. And the last thing is it really creates a competitive differentiation. Like, not many stores are doing a lot of testimonial marketing right now. So when you do it, you certainly stand out against your competition.
Okay. So here's my challenge then for everybody on this call, because there's a lot of people on this call. Appreciate you all taking the time. My challenge is, let's go out there and take massive action. So Chris, if we're going to take massive action to do this and grow the business, what's the next step?
Well, we recommend stop thinking like a car dealer and start thinking like an experience creator. First and foremost, audit your CX where it's at right now with this 25-point checklist. This will give you a good idea of how your team is currently doing. One of the questions that we ask in our discovery process on every single discovery call, is where would you rate your team's CX delivery today on a scale of 1 to 5? I'm telling you, I hear 3 to 3.5 more than any other number. Hardly anybody scores their team in the 4s. So the question is, how much is that gap costing you by not being closer to a 5? We recommend having regular CX meetings, very focused on, refining your customer experience delivery. And then training your team on the DCMA methodology. Remember, delight, capture, market, and attract is the methodology. And then start capturing testimonials. I always tell people, listen, no one's great at it at first. The testimonial that you do today will not be as good as the one you do tomorrow, and the one you do tomorrow will not be as good as the one that you do a month from now. You only get better at delivering and executing testimonials by doing it. It's like reps in the gym. And then the next step is deploying those testimonials strategically across all your marketing channels. That's going to really drive traffic to the showroom by people who trust you, much the same way that people trust you, the same way referrals trust you. So we always say it's not who you know, it's who knows you and what they're saying about you.
Yeah. Okay. So with that being said, let's open it up for some questions and answers, and wrap this up with some good questions and answers for everybody, Chris.
Okay. Let's see. Where is our chat?
I see one right here. They said something. The question is, you mentioned a microphone. Where do you get them, and do you have any recommendations? We
do. There is the microphone that we recommend is a Hollyview Lark M1, and you can get this on Amazon, and we'll put this in the recording notes. Okay.
So basically, they can just go to Amazon and search for microphones.
Hollyman, yeah, you definitely want the dual microphone, because you want two. You want one for the salesperson, one for the customer, and then you want to make sure you activate the noise cancellation, because the noise cancellation is there's a feature that you have to activate, and it turns the microphone green.
Okay. Here's another question came across. Do you recommend that the salesperson should be standing with the customer, or should the customer just be by themselves in front of the car?
I personally like when the salesperson is in there with them. I think it's more engaging, but it really depends on the customer. Some customers, some younger folks love to get in front of the camera, and they'll deliver a great performance video or testimonial. So it just depends on really the customer and who you're dealing with. I will tell you, most people just like to be interviewed. They don't want too much pressure. You want to make it super simple and easy for them. So just interview them and ask them questions.
Yeah. And Chris, you and I usually agree on most things. That's one thing I disagree with you on, so I'm going to share my opinion for the audience. I think the salesperson should not be in the picture, because most salespeople have faces made for radio. And I believe that if you have just a customer standing in front of their car, there's a better possibility that they're going to want to share it on all their social channels, because that's one of the key things. We want them to brag. So you and I, a little disagreement there, but it's not a bad one. But so everyone they can see both of our opinions there.
Yeah, we have one salesman at one store, and he puts his face in it, and then sometimes we'll go to the customer, but it's more about him. So we're having to coach him a little bit and say, hey man, you might want to include the customer more than you in your testimonials.
Here's another question I just came across from a dealer in Baltimore. He's having, excuse me, he's having a hard time getting, because he tried to do this. He says, I've had a hard time trying to get my sales team to do this. Do you recommend having an incentive?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Not only for the salesperson, but for the customer. You cannot incentivize a customer to write a review. It's in fact, all review sites have strict guidelines that prohibit you offering an incentive. However, with a video testimonial, you can offer anything you want. We recommend a gas card. Everybody wants gas these days. $25, even $50. Most dealers are willing to give $50 for a video testimonial because they are gold for your marketing.
Okay. Here's another question for you. What about a release form? Do you need to get a release if you're going to use this testimonial in your advertising? And talk about that.
Yeah, we have we recommend, a lot of dealers will have a release, model release in their paperwork. Our Sensei Says testimonial app has the release built in. So after you shoot the video testimonial, the customer actually signs the model release on the salesperson's phone, and the dealership gets a copy and the customer gets a copy emailed to them. But yes, you need a model release if you're going to be publishing their likeness, their image, their video anywhere online. You need a model release.
Okay, good notes. Just looking to see if any other questions are coming up. Someone's typing. Hang on a second. How much should you pay the salesperson for getting the testimonial?
You know, that's up to each individual dealer. That, you know, some dealers will do a contest and, you know, give away you know, a first, second, third place for a number of testimonials. I recommend making testimonials and even reviews a part of the pay plan today, because we know that when the salesperson's pay is tied to a process, they're going to typically follow it. You know, one dealership in particular, they require all their salespeople get half of whatever their total sales is in terms of testimonials or reviews. So if they sell 10 cars, they owe the dealership 5 testimonials or reviews. If they sell 20, they owe 10. Or they miss their unit bonus. And you know, salespeople are not going to miss their unit bonus. So again, dangling the carrot with incentives is one thing, but when you tie their pay plan to it, typically they'll follow the process that you want them to.
Okay. And I think we've got time for one more question. We got one more just came across from a dealer in Texas. It says, how can you use testimonials with your salespeople's personal marketing? I'm not sure I understand the question. Maybe they're talking about, like, in the communication process when you're dealing with a customer via email. Maybe that's what he's talking about, but that's what he said. How do you use it with their personal?
So there's the salesperson should be sharing these testimonials on their social media. We do recommend that salespeople have professional social media fan pages to market themselves.
Okay.
Again, one of our features of the testimonial app is we have an entire microsite for each salesperson. So they have their own web page with all their videos, photos, and written reviews. They have a bio at the top. That was one of the things we considered when producing our testimonial app was, hey, how can we market the salesperson? Because the salesperson needs to market themselves and brand themselves in the local area. And what better way to do it than a page with all their testimonials? They're sharing those on social media. They're sending those links out to all their customers that they're booking appointments with. Hey, check out my testimonials before you come in. So they're using the voice of the customer in their individual marketing. It's a great question.
Okay. Well, great. Well, hey, we basically are just a couple of minutes over the normal time. We appreciate everybody. Chris, can we put back up the QR code?
Yeah,
that way, if anybody, or maybe just put up your information. So if somebody wants to learn more, feel free to contact Chris. There's a lot of great information he has. You can visit his website. And like I said, Chris is an expert on this. He can help you in a lot of different areas. Feel free to reach out to him. I know we covered a lot of stuff on this PowerPoint. The questions were phenomenal. Thank you for everybody who joined us today and for asking those questions. They were great questions. Hopefully provide a lot of good information. This is the future. Everybody is looking, I mean, think about it this way. When you go to buy a product on Amazon, okay, before you buy the product, what everybody does that I know, they take a look at the reviews on the product. And quite frankly, we were looking at a product the other day, my wife and I, and we were getting ready to buy it, getting ready to press the button. My wife said, hey, did you check the reviews? We went through and the reviews were horrible. We didn't buy the product. Reviews are critical to your success for the future. So if you really want to take your business to the next level, I highly recommend you start implementing. And if you'd like some help for doing this, Chris is a great coach. He can help your team learn how to do it. And just reach out to him.
I appreciate that. And I want to give a shout out to you, Peter, because you offer car dealers digital marketing. You personally do my email marketing, and we're getting results. So really appreciate all the effort your team does there. So if anyone needs digital marketing in the automotive space, Peter Martin is an excellent resource and will deliver on his promises.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great rest of the week. And like I said, we're here to help you.
Have a sensational week. Take care.